Years after Christ died, when Europe was sunk in the Dark Ages and everywhere the old civilizations were falling, Muhammad was born in Mecca, in Arabia. Mecca was then a rich trading city ruled by its merchants, whose wealth was multiplied by a unique privilege. They housed the gods. Every year, at the time of the Great Fair, the desert priests brought their idols and the images of their gods into the custody of the Kaaba. Once the most holy shrine of Abraham, the Kaaba had now become a house of idolatry, boasting no fewer than 360 different gods. Mecca, in 610 AD.
Muhammad, read. In the name of thy Lord, who created man from a sensitive drop of blood, who teaches man what he knows not, read.
These were the worst years of Muhammad's life. For 3 years they suffered the hunger, thirst, cruelty of the open desert. But the year of grief was still to come, when Khadija, Muhammad's wife for 24 years, died. When Abu Talib, his old protector, died. With his last breath, Abu Talib tried again to reconcile Mecca and Muhammad. With the death of his uncle, Muhammad had now lost all protection. He was no longer safe in Mecca. Alone with Zaid, his adopted son, he went to the hillside town of Taif. He asked to be taken in, to be allowed to preach. But the children of Taif were turned loose to stone him back into the desert. Muhammad called this the bitterest day of his life. Then, miraculously, when Muhammad's mission seemed to have failed, his entire situation changed. A deputation from the rich but self-destroying city of Medina met him by night at the rocks of Aqaba, asking him to come to them, to stand between their factions, to mediate their continual quarrels and civil wars. Muhammad agreed, provided they gave him a pledge that they worship the one God only. This was a journey that changed the world. The Hijra, or flight to Medina. Only 70 people, split up into small groups, walking 250 miles of desert. Yet so profound were the consequences, so lasting were the effects of this walk, that from it the Muslims date their calendar. In this moment, Islam found its future. Muhammad himself stayed in Mecca, in the greatest danger, until all his followers had left safely. A few threads of a spider's web were all that was then between Muhammad and murder. But he was a man not to be killed. The Bedouin guide led him and his companion, Abu Bakr, in their escape, through untracked spaces of the desert and the heat of the June days.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
There are no different races in Islam. An Arab is not superior to a foreigner, nor a white man superior to a black. All return equally to God.
Unless you desire for your neighbor what you desire for yourself, you don't have faith. A man who goes to bed with his belly full while his neighbor is hungry, he isn't a Muslim.
The ink of a scholar is holier than the blood of a martyr. A man reading is handsome in the sight of God. So learn to read. And when you have learned, teach.
The people of the book, the Jews with their Bible, the Christians with their Testament, must be respected by you. For their books likewise came from God.
Get inside. Get inside. Close your door.
In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. God gave this house to Abraham to be a sacred place. Worship no other gods but him, and cleanse his house.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
So it was. Muhammad took no revenge and allowed none. He declared Mecca a holy place. No one may shed blood, or cut down a tree, or kill a living thing in Mecca. Soon all Arabia was converted, not only to the new worship, but to the new laws, manners, attitudes contained in Islam. The Prophet had lived to see his work done, but now he began to feel the nearness of death. One great act of his prophethood remained, the setting of its seal. He called the people to him, and he spoke for the last time his message of surrender to God and humanity to man. O mankind, listen well. I may not be with you much longer. The weak among you, feed them on what you eat, dress them as you are dressed. You will meet your God, and he will call you to account for your actions. Let those who are present warn those who are absent. You are all descended from Adam, and the best among you is he who most regards God. Think deeply about what I say. Let all your feuds be abolished. You must know that every Muslim is the brother of every other Muslim, and all Muslims are brothers one of another. Between Muslims there are no races and no tribes. Nor must you take anything from your brother except what is given freely. Do not oppress, and do not be oppressed. O my people, I am but a man. It may be that the angel of death will visit me soon, and death will overtake me. But I have left you a book, revealed by God, the Quran, which is light and guidance. Now he repeated to the people the final revelation of the Quran, the seal and termination. Not Muhammad's words, but God's word. This day I have perfected your religion for you, and completed my favor to you, and have chosen for you Islam as your religion. On June the 8th, 632, in his 63rd year, Muhammad died. Many of his followers could not believe the fact. How can such a man die? But Abu Bakr, the Prophet's friend, stood up in the mosque. If anyone worships Muhammad, let him know that Muhammad is dead. But he who worships God, let him know that God is alive and cannot die. They buried Muhammad beside his mosque in Medina. But the religion he preached found its place in the heart of man. It endured. It multiplied. Still to Mecca they come, mankind. The people of Islam dressed in their pilgrim white. All equal before God, all united in this place of prayer. Each individual soul joined in a community of worship. One God.